Welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel. How are you all doing today? I'm just cleaning my crystals, giving them a clean with a nice cloth, and here you can see one of my beautiful bumblebee jaspers. Now, because of the nature of the crystal, it can tarnish, well, it does tarnish silver, solid silver, so it goes a little bit discoloured slightly, so I just like to clean them up every now and again and put my energy back into them again till the right person comes along and feels the energy of that crystal and buys them from my website. But I enjoy going through my crystal collection, which is over 12, 13, 14 years now, and still there are still some there over that many years that are just waiting for the right soul to come along. Yeah, really enjoying, and just the cleaning process is very, very relaxing and meditating to me. Look, it's shining again. Beautiful quality silver, not cheap silver, so you can always buff them back up and they look brand new again, which is very important. High quality silver. So yeah, love it. Look. Gorgeous. Well, today's subject, guys, I guess is kind of controversial to many people. Sometimes it can be extremely frustrating to understand, but I came to understand it through my own process. One thing I didn't do, and one thing I realized right at the very beginning of this understanding, was that we're all on a personal journey. And every single human being, every single spirit, every single physical body has different energetic frequencies built into them because of the mother and father, the genes, because of the trauma of maybe mother and father fighting while you're still in the womb. Physical issues could be because mother might have smoked or drank while having you inside, and so on. So everything on an individual level is unique. So I find it bizarre when many of guru talk about a specific way of the spiritual realms. Find that strange, and I think maybe why that is because they've experienced something, and that's it. They've said, okay, I've experienced this, and this is gospel. This is how it is. Or they may have had interpretations. They may have had meditations. They may have had what we call downloads and channeling, and that's it. They've made their mind up. But I find that rather bizarre, because when channeling back 2 decades ago, when I was with Circle, when I was with shamans, whether I was on my own on a mountain, each time the channeling process, because I wanted to understand this, I wanted to really understand this. Why is it that different information came through at different times of my life? Why is it that they told me one thing and then they told me another, and it was a contradiction of each time they spoke to me? Well, it wasn't a contradiction. That was my interpretation. Basically, life is a flow. It's constant. It's always evolving. It's changing. The one thing that is constant is change. So you can't say that the spirit world works in this exact way 24/7. You can't say that, because it's not true. It's impossible for it to be true. Everything changes all the time. So when you hear people talk about the spirit world, and that when you are born into this world, there's so many interpretations. One is you come into this world with two spirit guides. And so on. It goes on and on and on. I mean, you go from one channeler to another and they're completely different. And I think when I heard this, I realized that I can't base my whole spiritual understanding on, I'm not going to name names, but these so-called, and they are channelers, but that didn't resonate with me. So what I did was set off on a journey on my own. So I didn't want to have other people interfere in my process. So what I would do is I would listen intensely and I would be open, but I would not just follow like a sheep. I would need to go through the process myself and see if that aligned with what everybody was saying. And I certainly know this, that when I started walking that path in that manner, which was right in the center of the road, which meant I wasn't on one side, neither the other, I was listening to both sides. I soon came to understand that everybody is right, but also they're wrong. So what that means is that our interpretation at that moment is correct, but it evolves, it changes constantly. So we cannot say these are the commandments, this is how the spirit world works, because it evolves all the time. Consciousness raises all the time. And plus the fact, if you think about this, just the thought of spirit guides, there's been many a times that I've been working on a client and their, say, grandfather came through and I can feel their grandfather with them. So the lady's crying, I'm giving the healing session, I'm feeling the warmth of spirit and thinking this feels like a male energy who's coming through giving healing. And then he might just drop me a little something, a carrot, right? And then I'll say to my client, I got this amazing smell of Old Spice, or I got this amazing smell of tobacco, or I might have got a smell of Pinot Silvestre, and they'll go, oh my God, my granddad always wore that. Or I might get the most silliest thing that comes through and I'll go, oh, I don't know why, but all I kept seeing was these little tiny pear drops when I was a kid. And the woman would cry and say, my granddad always brought me pear drops. So I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. Now, 6 months later goes by and the lady comes back for another healing session. No granddad, none at all. Why is that? Why didn't granddad come through? Well, maybe granddad decided to come back into a physical body to live an earthly life again, as we do. You call it reincarnation, whatever you want to call it, but we don't always stay in the spirit world. And sometimes when I was reading for clients, I would say, I picked nothing up from your mum or your dad, and maybe the reason why was because they came back into this earthly body. Now that kind of makes sense. Now, not always, because sometimes I'd say, okay, I feel your mum's here today, but she wasn't here last month. Why is that? Well, who knows? Who's saying that she wasn't on her path, a journey in the spirit world doing whatever she's doing? Now, I do believe this wholeheartedly, because I cannot say unequivocally that what I'm saying is correct, because everything changes. So what I'm saying is that there are times that the spirit world, that your family in spirit can be in 3 different places at once. How is that possible? Because there is no space and time, and the spirit is not an individual section or a piece or a something. It can split itself into whatever, and it can be wherever. So the spirit is not something that we can tangibly touch or feel or understand. So spirit guides is a great concept. It's wonderful. It feels wonderful, makes you feel good. But why is it that so many people don't feel the spirit world around them? Why is it that sometimes people are rescued by the spirit world, by this divine intervention, and others not? Everything, in my humble opinion, always goes back to the same thing. It's not all set in stone. Not everything is exactly the same for everybody else. And why is that, Matt? Now we're going onto another conversation where you're going to say, well, why is it that they have protection and I don't? A lot of the times when people came to readings for me, they came to readings because they wanted to hear what they wanted to hear. And I would say maybe 50% to 80% of people just were listening and waiting for what they wanted. That's all they're listening for. They're not listening to anything else. So take, for instance, there was an older gentleman who came to me who was quite obnoxious. And I tried to give him the information, right? But he would only listen to part of the information. And the most important part of the information is that he needed to change from being an obnoxious pillock, which he was. He treated everybody so bad, and his attitude is, I am above everybody else and I deserve more and I should be having this. And I'm like, but didn't you hear that? Is this man not listening? That you have to change the way you are so that this beautiful soul can come into your life and love you. But if you're going to stay obnoxious and a cretin and an absolute creep and blind to life, then you're never going to see anything. This beautiful soul is just going to walk straight past, because why would anybody want to be with you? So in their interpretation, when they're sat there, they're thinking that their whole life is going to change because somebody's going to come into their life and change them. But that is not how it works. It's the actual opposite. You have to change your life so that all of the goodness and all of the love and all of the intuition and awareness and all of the gifts and all of the signs will reveal themselves, because you've made the effort to change your limited thinking and your limited perception of life. I deserve, people owe me, you give, and it's like, no, that is a really low frequency vibration. And readers, good readers, will try and gently help them to see that this is far more important, that you need to change your life to be able to allow all of the goodness to come in. But 90%, 80%, 70% don't listen to that. They're just waiting for what you've just said about who's coming into my life. Well, I didn't actually say who's coming. I said they're there, but what you need to do is elevate. You need to grow. You need to get ready for your client. You need to become a better soul. You need to meditate. You need to heal. You need to cleanse and clear all the fear and worry and all of the baggage that you hold of the anger and the jealousy of not being who you always thought you should be, just like this gentleman did. And he ended up being such a terrible, terrible energy at the end of it, because I stopped reading. I wouldn't read anymore. And he was angry and he was bitter, and as he was anyway through life. And whoever he was with, he was angry and bitter. And that was part of reading for certain people who it's very difficult to help change that energy that is within them, that stays with them till their last breath. And then he would ask, well, where are my guides? Where are all these people who are meant to be helping me? It's like, yeah, God, if there is one, give me strength. So I guess we come on to I know I've gone off on one, but let's go back on track and let's talk about the spirit world and how it works. For me, what I saw over these years was a beautiful opening of everything that is possible. So when people used to say to me, oh my God, how is it that you bring the energy in the room so well? Who is it that you work with? Is it Archangel Michael? Is it Metatron? Is it this? And I used to say, my door is open to whoever wants to come into this room filled with 100 people. So what that means is, and this is what I used to say to everybody, why would I select an archangel instead of your child that moved into the light when she was 2 months old? Why would I select an archangel over your mum or your brother or your sister or a best friend in the spirit world? Why would I be calling for archangels? Why would I be calling for spirit guides? Why wouldn't I call for whoever wants to join us? Why wouldn't I call for only the light of love and healing from all our family? Because aren't we all one anyway? And if the spirit world is the way that I see it, then I'm sorry guys, but I don't see higher or lower energy. Because when we all come together, we become one energy. So when I used to work in rituals and call for the light of love, of healing, I didn't call for powerful spirit guides. I called for anyone who is able to help in the situation by giving me information to be able to help the client that I'm moving on to. So I'll give you a perfect example. The night would start and I would ask everybody to close their eyes. I'd put the music on like this and I would begin by just closing my eyes, taking a deep breath, and the energy in the room now was quite high because I would give a talk, an uplifting talk, and everybody's energy was way past their head, so I knew it was time for me to do my work. So then I would stand up, open my eyes, and I would be guided to the first person spirit would bring me to, just like being guided to a crystal. Just grab the crystal and work with it. So as I'm working with that beautiful soul, their eyes are closed, and now I'm looking at the body and feeling them and feeling where my hand needs to go to give healing and strength and power and cleansing and all the things that it needs. And I would be guided like a magnet to a specific place, and I would leave my hand there and just watch the energy move through the client. Sometimes I'd close my eyes and feel the energy move through the client, and I could feel it as a mirror image. So I would be the mirror of the client, and as soon as I touched maybe the heart, I could feel my heart growing and growing and pumping until that was it. It was done. And then I'd move on to the next client, the next seated person. And all of a sudden I'd be drawn somewhere else, and I might even go around the back and work on their back or on their head or on their shoulders. But there was always something. And sometimes I'd get a little message and I'd lean forward and just give them a little message from their family and spirit. Now, doesn't that sound beautiful and pure? Doesn't that sound like more of a flow rather than working with archangels? I'm not saying there isn't such things as archangels. I'm not saying there isn't such things as spirit guides. I have many times seen Native Americans around my clients and said, oh, there's a Native American woman here by your side. She's about 22 years old. I can see her. She's with you. She's holding her hand in a certain way, and she's with you now. But that didn't mean she was always going to be with her, because that client would come back again and that spirit guide wasn't there anymore. And I didn't want to upset my client by saying she's no longer there. So what I would say to everybody is, look, our spirit world comes and goes freely. They come to us when we need them and when we call them. And they come to us sometimes when we don't even need them and call them. So they're always there, and you can always close your eyes and attune into whoever's around you. So like sometimes, if you've ever seen me do these talks on here, sometimes my ear will pop. I don't know who it is. I don't ask anymore. It's not important. But I say thank you for whoever's in the room. So maybe what comes out of my mouth may be the fact that the spirit world has come through because you're watching, and your mum or your granddad wants me to say something that touches you. And a lot of the times, if you ever watch my old videos, some people, not so much now, but some people say, it's like you were talking to me. And that's a confirmation to me that says, I am guided to share a message to you from your family who came in the room. Now, sometimes I can be sat here and I know, oh my God, my mum's just come in the room. or this beautiful lady next to her, because they work together from time to time. But everybody in the spirit world works together. And Brian comes forward, my mum comes forward, Shirley comes forward, Penelope comes forward at certain times. So my whole point about everything that I'm talking about today is this. Don't ever limit yourself to spirit guides. Don't limit yourself to any spirit guides or anybody in the spirit world. Just be open. And that is the point. If you are open to receiving, you will receive. If you are closed, you won't receive anything because you're too busy chasing your tail or being angry or bitter and looking at everybody else who's doing well and everything's going wrong in your life. You have to speak to your body through your thoughts. You have to generate an energy like turning of a radio station, because I want to get to radio love. Okay, there it is. It's playing now. So now you are vibrating at radio love. You can hear it, you can feel it, you can move it, you can be it. Most of us are on channel, I don't know who the hell I am or what I am or where I am or where I'm going. And you're vibrating in that energy. Well, the spirit world can't come into that energy as easy. When you vibrate at radio love, radio healing, radio meditation, radio I'm working on myself, radio I'm open, radio I'm awakening, that is when you vibrate like an antenna that sends a signal out that then allows that very energy into you. Like attracts alike. So if you're angry, you'll just attract anger and negativity, and that is low frequency, and nothing can penetrate that. Only anger can penetrate that. Sadness, only sadness can penetrate that. Why can't I feel my mum in spirit? She's died. I'm so that because you're sad and you're upset, and that's all you're connecting to. Every molecule of your body is information given by your thoughts. Your thoughts are incredibly powerful. They say that words are spells, but thoughts are even more powerful. If you think you are poor, you will be poor because that's what you are asking for. Because you're not thinking it. You know, oh, well, that's the way my life is, I'm poor. No, you're saying that's the way my life is, so I am poor. So that's what you vibrate. So nothing can come into your life for you to be filled with abundance and magic and beautiful things happening to you. And why does it happen to the person next to you? Why she just won the lottery? Why has that person just got a brilliant job? Why is that? Because they are vibrating at a frequency that they're allowing that energy in. It's not always spirit guides who can help and protect. You have to take the first step and say, please come into my life. I am powerful. I am rich. I am all the wonderful things that you want, which you are creating at any given moment. And the moment you start thinking negative thoughts, you cut that radio signal. It's gone. And then you bring a new radio signal in of what you've just thought. I am sick. Okay, you brought that radio signal in. So what comes in is sickness. Why? Because they don't discriminate between what you're asking for. They give you what you're asking for. So I am poor. I have bad luck. Well, they're going to give you that then because you're asking for it. So stop asking. Stop saying you're not well. Stop saying you can't connect. Stop saying you don't believe that your life, is good enough, and stop saying that everything's going wrong, because you create it by your powerful thoughts. The spirit world always listens. So change your thinking, change your thoughts. Have a beautiful day, guys. And thank you so much for going to markbajerski.com and buying your authentic crystals, oils, incense and teas. I've loved working with them for the past 2 decades. I hope you enjoy the website. Take care.